Hey, so we're continuing on with all this rambling. Just trying to think about things to ramble about, and it's an interesting intersection of events yesterday. So yesterday was the local baccalaureate service, and it was really cool. We hosted it here at our church, St. Paul's, and I had a Facebook memory for the South Fulton baccalaureate a year ago, and at the same moment in time, the sectional meet for 1A Tremont track and field. So our girls in South Fulton were running the sectional meet. So I'm following this track meet while also at a baccalaureate service, and just super excited because these athletes that I used to coach are getting personal bests, qualifying for state, and all these other things. So it was really cool, really neat intersection. But then also, it was really neat to watch kids having success and to see that next step, that transition to the new coaches having that fully cemented, that things are going well. But then also meeting the different people here at the baccalaureate and kind of having that step into knowing more people here, establishing friendships and everything else. So it was just a really neat point in time. The faculty speaker from Maumee, he's one of the local English teachers, and he read some extended passages from the Pinocchio story, not the Disney version, but the original. And it was really neat, the parallels to just Pinocchio and the spiritual walk. Thought he did an outstanding job. It was really neat. And then David Ibarra, the high school senior, did a wonderful job with his message. So it was really cool. The baccalaureate service was something that was kind of cast on me, where we had volunteered to host it last year prior to me being here, and I'm really thankful for that. But the month of May is just absolute chaos. Planning, scheduling. There's all these different games for all the sports. There's all the different super important meets. You start hitting playoffs. You have seniors ending their school year. You have finals. It's always been a chaotic month. And I have Memorial Day weekend that I might be making a trip out to see my dad, helping repair the deck. Then the weekend after that, doing a 100-kilometer bike ride. All this to say, just the month of May gets chaotic. And amidst all the chaos, it's important to pause and ask, like, am I staying afloat, or am I actually making progress forward? Am I allowing the busyness of everything to like dictate the schedule, or am I actually in charge of my schedule? And this has been a very interesting week here. Just lots of not planned conversations and everything else like that. So I have been really reflecting on thinking, am I actually ahead of the game? Am I playing the game, or am I trying to get off the bench into the game whenever it comes to scheduling for the summer? Which I realize I'm behind the game on scheduling for the summer. Just kind of came out of nowhere. It's like, oh my goodness, I need to start thinking about what do we do for the summer for the kids. But just rewinding back to the current moment, because sometimes we can get so caught up in, are we ahead? Are we going on? Like, today's a Friday. We have the weekend, and it's, what do I need to do today? What do I need to do tomorrow? Tomorrow we have a soccer game, coaching 8U, my middle daughter. And it was interesting. The last 2 weeks, we won our soccer games. 2 weeks ago, we might have tied versus when, but I'm not keeping track of score. And then last weekend, we won. And the coach from the other team, and I'm only bringing this up mostly because I want to make sure everyone realizes how important it is. The coach from the other team talked to me after the games, like thanking me for the sportsmanship that we had. And because we beat the other team 8-0, and I was making sure that I was focusing, having my kids focus on, hey, how are we doing? Don't think about their score, and stuff like that. And in youth sports, it's a delicate balance of celebrating what your kids are doing, but teaching them to celebrate in a proper manner. We all too often celebrate in a manner that demeans someone else in order for us to feel good. Like, you don't have to point out they have 0, we have 8. You can say, well, we have 8, or good job, good goal. And it's hard because, like, for me, it just seemed pretty obvious, but he said no other coaches have been as nice with beating his team. And again, I'm probably bring this up all too often. Like, I'm coming from the same point of thinking about last year coaching varsity athletes. And I tried to make sure that one of the things I taught my athletes in South Fulton was to view your opponent as someone who's trying to help you get better. And this is easiest to see in track and field, but the lessons there still in the ball sports. But like in track and field, you will never run your fastest unless you compete against someone who's faster than you. Throwing against someone who can throw further than you pushes you to throw further. Vaulting against someone who vaults higher than you, it pushes you to be better. And I tried to celebrate my athletes' accomplishments unashamedly last year. I wanted my athletes to never doubt if they were going to be cheered for. I wanted them to never doubt if someone is going to be in their corner, yelling, hooting, hollering for them. And it's interesting to think about the psychology and the dynamics of 8U versus junior high versus high school versus college versus professional sports. Because it's interesting, all this is the backdrop of watching the Detroit Pistons right now in the playoffs. My 2 cents, there's some pretty bad no calls, but anyhow, I'm watching this, and there's the ability to celebrate without being in someone else's face. The professional level, we understand there's a certain level of gamesmanship and entertainment value that comes from rivalry where they're really trying to egg on someone else. And it might be somewhat appropriate at the professional level. It's definitely not appropriate at 8U. And then in the high school level, I really wanted to make sure that my athletes viewed the other athletes on the other teams as friends. Like, the term rival, it's valuable, but think about rivalry in the sense of these are 14 to 18-year-olds in high school who are bearing their town's name on their chest, and they're competing against another town. Like, you don't have a lot of autonomy to choose what school you compete for in high school. And so to have this rivalry of them, and I was taught that kind of rivalry when I was in high school. We were one of the teams that we competed against. They're the Coldwater Cardinals, and my basketball coach freshman year is the best thing is a dead Cardinal. Just this extreme animosity. He was also my the head track coach my freshman year. And it was just so funny because he did the same thing every year, evidently talking to the older athletes. The first meet of the first week of practices, he'd say, I sat in a meeting with all the other coaches in the conference, and they said, there's no way Sturgis can do anything good. They're so blah, blah, blah. And I'm just we're all just there's no way that you guys talk that much smack in a conference coaches meeting. And then now, having been at a couple of different large gatherings of coaches for high school athletes, in track and field and in cross country, there's a little bit of rivalry, but this we're just like happy that kids are out there competing. We're not trying to talk smack of like, you guys can never do this. Usually the line of conversation that I saw was like, can you believe that school is able to get that high of participation? How do we like talk to them and figure out what they're doing so we can do it? Not like, oh, they stink. But maybe I was just in a unique area in Illinois versus Southwest Michigan. Who knows? Or maybe just the 2000s were very different than the 2010s and 2020s. But yeah, as far as rambling goes, I'm trying to think of stories to tell, memories that I have. Like I don't remember planning my baccalaureate in high school, which was almost 20 years ago now, which is wild. It's absolutely wild to think that was over half a lifetime ago. But thinking through how do we help kids move forward, like I'm so thankful that I had an opportunity to do track and field, to do cross country, to do basketball, to play ultimate frisbee with my brothers, to do all these things whenever I was young and physically capable. And I want to end with the thought of we need to make sure that as adults, this is something that I think I've said multiple times before, but like as adults and people growing into adulthood, there's this phrase in the real world, and fill in the blank thing, you'll never get to do this, or people don't treat you, or people don't care, all these other phrases. We are the real world. We are living human adults who are able to alter the at least emotional environment of workplaces and other things like that. You don't have to be the multi-billionaire business owner, but you are an adult, and you can show that compassion, empathy, and care matter. Oh, see, this is why I ramble. That reminded me. So the reason why that matters, why that's something that I think about often. So on Saturday, it was Girls on the Run, and Bennett crushed it. So it was a 5K. She went 23:19, and it was amusing because she, after about 2 kilometers in, like she was done, and I pushed her through. I'm like, we're not stopping. I'm your running buddy. Like we're gonna do this. I want to quit every single 5K that I run in the second mile as well. It's just part of the nature of the beast. It hurts. It is painful, but you can do it. And we pushed through, and she was awesome. Went faster than I'm pretty sure that's faster than the first 5K I ran in my 8th grade year. So she's 4th grade versus my 8th grade. So just incredible. But one of my goals, so this, I don't know, this was like a personal goal. I didn't like say it out loud. I wasn't, so no talking smack about it, but there's this guy who had a headband on that said, "No one cares, try harder." And when I saw that, I was just like, oh man, like I hate that. Like people should care. You should try harder, but like we should really care about why people fail. There's legitimate reasons why people mess up. But him and his daughter were ahead of us the first like half mile, and I was just like, I really don't want this guy with that headband to beat Bennett, like, because I view those headbands as sort of like an arrogance of like, I try harder. Like, you know what? Sometimes the person who tries the hardest loses. Sometimes the people who don't try hard win. I was 6 foot tall in 8th grade. I averaged 4 blocks a game. I averaged 11 rebounds. Like I was huge, and I tried hard, but the opposing teams, if the coach had said, "Oh, no one cares, just try harder," like, no, you're facing off against a 6-footer in a private school league where we're tiny schools. Like, yeah, that's tough. So I just find it very interesting. I want people to, in general, care more and to change the world in that standpoint. Like, you have the power, you have the influence, like, care. And the two things are not mutually exclusive. All right.